I believe that my lived experience of being a Black person in America has shaded my outlook on what a utopia could be and has shaped what I think dystopia looks like. The top three issues that the majority of Black Americans want to be fixed in America are affordable housing, affordable health care, and reducing racism. When I read that, what I hear is that Black Americans want to feel safe, they want to live, and they don't want to suffer in their own country, in their own neighborhoods, or in their own homes. A universal lived experience that spans across the African American and Black diaspora in America is racism, in all its forms, whether that be interpersonal, institutional, structural, microaggressions, you name it. That being said, even though racism is a universal experience in the Black community, we don't all experience the same kinds or are hindered in the same way from structural institutions. The point I want to stress here is there's nuance to every person's life. We are all individual and unique. No two are the same, not even identical twins. If this is a true fact of life, then how can a true utopia even plant its seeds of becoming a reality? If no two people are alike, then how can we all have a common understanding of what a perfect utopia should look like? Well, the simple answer is we don't. A perfect utopia doesn't exist in the real world, and we all have different ideas on what that utopian society should look like. In A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess, his version of a utopia is a violence-free world. People wouldn't physically hurt each other, leading to no more murders, beatings, or rapes. A violence-free world sounds really nice, but physical violence isn't the root of all the world's issues and depravity. If you ask me, the idea of a perfect utopia is nothing more than a fantasy that was created in the minds of white men, similar to the American dream. A perfect utopia in the minds of the majority of people may consist of the following: being one with nature, having economic stability, not having to fit into the constraints of our current capitalistic society, living in a world with such scientific and technological advancements so that we live in a world of bliss and ease. There are no painful diseases or tragic deaths or physical suffering due to the current insufficiencies of our human bodies. Life is so automated so that humans have no responsibilities of laborious or frivolous tasks such as washing dishes, cleaning our homes, or even changing our own tires. We would live in a society where all we have to focus on is what we want to do that fulfills us intellectually and spiritually. The bottom two tiers of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, physiological needs, safety, and security, are worries that the utopian children of the future never even have to consider. With all of this, of course, is the understanding that all humans share in this blissful experience. Perfect equality. No economic classes, no discrimination based on gender, race, religion. All men, and women of course, are truly treated equally. Wouldn't that be nice? Now that we've established what most people consider a perfect utopia, what is dystopia? To George Orwell in 1984, it's complete government control with Big Brother watching our every move. No autonomy, no physical or mental freedom, and all semblance of individuality is stripped from society. For Bret Easton Ellis in Less Than Zero, it's the chilling reality that the 1% play by a different set of rules than the rest of society. The fact that the elite's values and morals may be what most people view as extreme selfishness or even inhumane, but to them, it's just their way of life. They just want to make copious amounts of money and enjoy all that life has to offer. What's wrong with that? What is dystopia to me? We're living in it. Let's narrow the scope from society as a whole or America and just look at King County. Looking at gun violence, almost 50% of all shooting victims in King County in 2022 were African American or Black, when the Black community only accounts for 6% of King County's population. I work for a nonprofit organization that supports families who have lost a loved one to gun violence, the majority being fathers to children. I have looked in the eyes of those children, and I have seen those grieving families. I see dystopia every day in the Black community. During the pandemic, Black people had one of the highest mortality rates by race. In 2021, in every 100,000 COVID deaths, 178 of those were Black, versus 124 in every 100,000 that were white. Black people only account for 13.6% of the total US population. That's dystopia. In 2021 in the US, the maternal mortality rate for Black women was 69 in every 100,000 deaths versus 26.6 deaths for white women. That's dystopia. The poverty rate in America is 11.6. Broken down by race, Black people make up 19.5% of that, and white people make up 8.1%. That's dystopia. The way I see it, a dystopia isn't a cautionary tale of what could happen if we don't change our ways. It's our current reality. For Black people, we don't need to watch The Handmaid's Tale or read 1984 to know what dystopia looks like. Many of us already live it, and more of us see it every day. A perfect utopia doesn't look like how you would think to a Black person in America. Utopia for us? Not Mattapoisett, but it's being able to afford having a roof over our heads, being able to receive treatment when diagnosed with a disease. Our utopia is not being murdered for not stopping at a stop sign or going on a run, not having to beg our policymakers to make laws so that more Black children don't have to grow up without a father. What does your utopia look like?